Hello everyone, GeneralApple here, and today I would like to do something a bit different, something that has been sitting on my mind for a few days, and today I actually started to act up on it, and it's to make a series review, something that I have never done, and I'm really excited because this series truly means a lot to me. And if you already read the title, you already know which series I'm talking about. I'm talking about Arcane, the League of Legends story, and the story of Runeterra, the world which I'm heavily invested into right now. I'm currently in the midst of reading all the lore on their website. I already, I believe, read half of it, but I still have way more to go. So yeah, this series' first season actually completely changed how I view Riot as a company in general. I come from League of Legends backgrounds, in case you don't know, and I have played Legends of Runeterra, and my channel was actually founded on this game, which unfortunately has shut down its PvP feature, so I was, pretty much forced to leave because I couldn't play the game anymore the way I wanted to. But I still stayed super invested in the story. So Arcane was just a natural pickup for me, but I do have to admit that whenever the first season came out initially, I have not watched the series until I saw people review it, and so many people and critics were praising it that I had to watch it. I just had to watch it, and when I did, again, it completely changed me. So that's a bit about me and the first introduction of the series. And I do want to say that my English is of course not that great, so I will talk a bit slower than usual because I really want to emphasize to you guys how important every detail is, I want to talk about, right? Like, every detail is super important to me and I want to talk about everything. So I made a few key notes for each episode. I'm gonna go through all the episodes of the second season from 1, 2, and 3. And of course, by the time you're watching this video, the new batch, the Act 2, has already been released. Currently, I have not viewed it. I still need to watch it. I'll probably start from, tomorrow. And if you guys enjoyed this video, I will make a video about that as well. So, with all of that in mind, let's dive right into the first episode, which was, again, already really astonishing. You can already tell that the budget is significantly higher, because I believe the first season had a $60 million budget, which is, not a small sum, but it is Riot after all. And the second season, as far as I understand it, has quadrupled its budget. I believe it's 250 million, which is crazy to think about, but it shows. From the first episode, you can already see that the details, the attention to the detail, the effects, everything is on a higher level from the first season, straight up. And the first season looked amazing. The first season is a 10 out of 10. I have no doubt about it whatsoever. But the second season already starts so beautiful looking. It is just mesmerizing. There's honestly no other way of describing it. And wow, I cannot tell you how much I miss seeing all of these characters again. So, right at the start of the first episode, we are starting right where we left off from past season. This is, to me, is so refreshing to see, and the reason it's so refreshing to see is because there is no flashbacks, there is no time skip, and then we return to the moment of explosion right where Jinx declared a war on Piltover. It actually just continues right where we left off. We don't need to guess, we don't need to see. Now, there is a bit of a cut of how Jace got saved, and it's very heavily indicated that Mel was the one that saved him. That being said, Mel seemed to be unaware that she did that, or even how, obviously, and that is really incredible. That is something to look out for, and I really hope that Mel will be a character in League of Legends, even though I don't play the game anymore. I've seen that her mother, Medarda, is actually in the game, even though she's kind of controversial because of her abilities, but in terms of flavor, yeah, I'm all in for it, and that is really cool. I hope Mel one day could be a character as well. But yeah, very good start already, right where we left off. No cutting away, no flashbacks, no time skips. Perfect. We watch them as they actually realize what had happened, the fact that Jinx pretty much, representing Zaun, declared war on them. Even though Jinx is not really representing Zaun, Zaun is very divided by Cam Barons and all of those people at the bottom of the chain, which unfortunately just get, pumped up with Shimmer and Silence. So Zaun is very divided, but still the Piltover Elite see them as one, which is definitely not true. And they are trying to understand what is their next step. I love the fact that Mel, even after all of that, is very rational. She's very calm. Mel's character is such a good addition into Arcane. I just love it. She's not irrational, just like her mother, which clearly has some hidden motive, which we'll talk about later on. She actually thinks she don't want to use Hextech weapon as part of invading Zaun or taking care of the Zaun problem. She actually considers them as still human. She just see them as human, which they are. Of course, they're people. They're flawed, but they're still people. Just like Piltover people are flawed, and it is so humane. That is so good to see, and I love Mel's character to death. She's just that good. And now, politics in general were astounding in this episode just as well. Whenever I see Mel Mother on screen, I just, so good. Seeing her interact with Mel, it just, and everybody else pretty much, just really, really good. I love the politics. I love everything about it. Usually politics is what people find to be boring. I actually found it to be really interesting in the world of Runeterra. It keeps everything on a very humane level, something that we can understand. Nothing magic related or anything like that, just real life politics that actually makes sense. There is good and bad on both sides. And of course, schemes, betrayal, and all of that stuff that we will touch on later on. Now, after that, we actually got, by the way, whenever you see me looking to the side, I'm looking at my notes here because I truly did not want to forget a single thing. So we have Victor, right? We immediately get a vision of Victor, or, a glimpse of Victor. He's in some sort of, well, it started with, the initial impact. Mel probably saved Jace, and Victor that was sitting right next to him got severely injured. And on top of that, he was really injured, from before. He was really sick. So he was in a really bad state. He was about to die. And Jace, out of frustration, took him to the Hex Core, and it somehow evolved with a Victor in it, kind of making some sort of a cocoon. I call it a birthing pod because, I'm a Magic the Gathering enjoyer. And it created something, it put him in sort of I guess you can call it a trance state or comatose. And that is really interesting. We don't really know what's gonna happen. He's just in a comatose state. We get to see him like that. Not really sure what is going to happen, what the core is doing to him, but we know that it's keeping him alive. And that's the important part, at least for Jace, right? So that was very cool. And of course, we have another one that was affected by the Jinx, war declaration. And that was Caitlyn's mother, which I really love her character. Even though we've seen her few and far in between in the first season, every time you saw her, you can see she's so composed and she has so much dedication to her role. She truly tried to make Piltover better. She cares for the people. And even though she kind of turned a blind eye to Zaun, at least from my perspective, she still took them into consideration. She was a kind person. She was, again, flawed, but she had her good parts. That's pretty much every character in Arcane, to be honest. Every character is gray. Nothing is really whitewashed or anything. Characters actually act like humans. That is the good part. And it's so astonishing to see. But unfortunately, she has died in the, Jinx firing a literal missile at the top of Piltover, which was very unfortunate because it completely broke Caitlyn, which was very, very tied to her mother. She looked up to her in every single regard, even though they argued a lot. They did argue a lot on almost every single thing, and they didn't really see eye to eye on most stuff. She adored her. Yeah, and you can tell, the way she speak about her, the way she reminisce, and it's amazing. It just goes to show how a mother-daughter relationship is super important, and her mother role, you know, affected her life so dearly, and it was just devastating to see how it broke her apart. She essentially became a completely different person, or that's how it feels like in the first episode. She actually becomes angrier, more irrational, you know, quick to just jump into action, which is not what she does. She's a very calculated person usually, and very compassionate. So it was very unfortunate to see that her mother death caused her this. I still love the fact that her father is acting very rationally, very calm. I think that this is great balancing, and of course there is Vi relationship with Caitlyn, which is just upgraded on a completely different level. Vi is there for Caitlyn, and I'm all in for it. To be honest, I shipped them from the, you know, from the first season. Of course, I knew what was going to happen because I already read the lore, but, you know, still, it was very nice to see it happen on screen. And yeah, I just love it very much. I really appreciate it. I also really love the fact that from the first episode, you can see this is war. We have no like cutbacks into like weird stuff. Oh, maybe we should do this, maybe we should do that, maybe we should negotiate peace. No, this is war. Pretty much everyone agrees on it. Not everyone agrees on the method you should fight. You know, if you should use hextech weapon or not. But everyone agrees that this is war. And I love it. And you know what? The developers, I believe developers, you mean the, the writers actually said that, I think it was like a year ago when they asked what the second season is going to be about. And they said that there's going to be war. And oh boy, they delivered. Because there is a war. They made it very clear from the first episode. And it's gonna be, you know, shit's about to go down, basically. That's what they're saying. And I'm all in for it. This is great. This is what I wanted. This is the build-up from the first season. Perfect. Just perfect. Now, we do have the whole Mel Mother situation, which is whenever they get attacked, Mel Mother saves everyone with her Noxian soldiers backup, or just, you know, the crew that actually follow her around everywhere. And that is pretty cool. That was pretty surprising. They got attacked during the memorial, which is very disrespectful, but of course later on you're gonna see why. And yeah, very disrespectful. The fact that they even got in was a big flaw in the defense of the Piltovens. And Mel Mother, you know, what a surprise, came to save the day with her Noxus fleet. And they actually, that was really cool. I really like that. I really like the fight with Jace and like the Cam Baron with a chainsaw or whatever that was. That was really good. I enjoyed that a lot. And yeah, I mean, with a tiny hammer, like the gavel, I believe it's called, you know, smacked her around, but she still somehow got up, I don't know. And the whole Vi and Jace together, whenever I see Vi and Jace together on screen, it for some reason, I just feel like friends forever. I don't know why, the chemistry between them is so good. It's so, like, you know, respectful, but in like a really cool way. that is very good. I love both of them. And yeah, when like they charge the hammer, the cannon hammer, I forgot how it's called. Oh my god, it is so good. Like Jace's hammer is one of the sickest weapon I've ever seen in my entire life. Same with Vi hands, by the way. Oh, by the way, I used to main Vi because I used to main jungle. So whenever I see her in general, she's just like super cool. But yeah, dude, Jace's hammer is such a sick weapon. The way that he just like help her, it got stuck, and then he put it on her shoulder, like his shoulder, and then shoot it together. Man, this was so sick. Holy, there's so many stuff like this in the series, and it just make it like, perfect. And of course, after this whole thing went down and Mel Mother actually slit the throat of the Cam Baron that was attacking Jace and essentially saved the day, we got to see the Caitlyn actually going underground with Vi, because Vi did agree to become an officer, even though she was reluctant to do so at first, which is understandable because the officers has made her life miserable as a child. So joining the enemy, or what she sees as an enemy, is really weird to her, which of course I can completely understand. But she ended up joining them. We already knew this. If you play League of Legends, you already know that. And man, let me tell you something. The officers' new uniforms, oh, they're so good. They look so sick. Like the policing squad and the shots that had from different angles, man, they looked sick. And the mask, like the gas mask, already enhanced what already looked like sick. Like they just enhanced it. They even look cooler. That is insanely good design. So I have to compliment the designing team on this one. Everything looked amazing. I love the officers' new uniforms. They're absolutely looking sick. And of course that the officer went down to hunt Jinx, which is currently, the most wanted person by Piltover. And to be honest, I think she also by Zon, because everyone kind of hates Jinx, which is, kind of a bummer. But it is what it is. And of course we have the last shot of my most favorite villain. Singe is not a villain, he's just a misunderstood guy that tried to understand the world. Singe did nothing wrong. Kick, but yeah, we have the final shot of Singed of the episode, which is him, and I swear to God, this was the most coolest thing ever. I'm sorry, I'm using the word cool a lot like I'm an 8-year-old, but come on, I love Singe so much. He's such a great character. I mean, he's a villain, but he doesn't really feel like a complete Lex Luthor type villain. He just, try to understand the nature of the world, if it makes sense. And yeah, that's really good. I just love Singe, man. Like, he's so cool. So we reached the shot of him right in the last minute of the episode, where he goes through the snow and find a cave. Now, the cave, unfortunately, is occupied by a 2-headed wolf being, I believe. And then you see a shot of Singe just pulling up a bottle of gas, of noxious gas or whatever that was, and he just opens it, and it opens, and yeah, it's gonna be Singed versus this wolf thing. That was such a sick shot. I loved it so much. It literally made me jump out of my chair. I was like, yeah, come on, Singe, beat that thing. Unfortunately, we didn't really get to see him fight this, but my guess is that, Singe won, obviously. And that's what's really cool. We don't really know what Singed is doing right now. We just kind of see him going versus that Hydra wolf thing. And that's pretty much it. That's how the episode ended. So that's pretty much everything for episode 1. I really believe that I covered everything. General conclusion from 1 out of 10, how good is episode 1? I think this episode is an 8. It might be even 8.5, but to be honest, a lot has happened. I really love the fact that, we kind of get to see everybody again. We continued right where we left off. So really good episode. I enjoyed it a lot. It cleared a lot of what happened. It reminded you of, okay, this was where we stopped on the first, on the last season. So we continue right from here. And of course, we got to see a lot of character development, and of course, the plot is moving forward. So we're not really stopping, we're not really slowing down, we're on the same pace, and I'm all in for it. We gotta see a lot of cool new stuff. And that is all for the first episode. And now we can talk about the second episode, which actually starts pretty mellow. It starts with Jinx's vision of Silco drowning. And it just goes to show how important of a father figure Silco was for Jinx. I believe that he meant more for her than even Vi, which was her sister. So that is very incredible to see, because Silco, even though he was a flawed person, he was still Jinx's guiding light. He kept her from going completely out of control. He imposed order on her. And that's something that Jinx now lacks. And I really like this whole ordeal because we actually get to see Jinx's human side once again. She does feel sadness, she does feel regret, and if you look at her from the side, you get the complete opposite impression of her, that she's just this crazy killer that has no empathy. She just does not care about who lives and who dies. She does whatever she wants, but we see that's not true. She's capable of feeling emotion, she's capable of feeling deep regret, which she clearly lives it, every single day. She lives with it every single minute of her life, and it wrecks her completely, especially the death of Silco, which he accidentally caused. And even though he told her that's okay with his dying breath, she still feels the pain to this day. And that is very heartbreaking to see. Even though Jinx is sort of the bad guy, yeah, I don't really feel like it. I still love her, I still feel for her, and that's what just makes her a really great character. Now, After that, we get to see what the death of Silco has caused over Zon. Now, the Cambarans are actually fighting for being in the chair of Silco. Everyone fighting for the chair, because Silco used to be the top guy. He used to unite all the Cambarans. Well, unite is kind of a big word, but he used to keep them in check and actually make sure they all work together so they won't break out of line, you won't have any infightings. But now that Silco is dead, this is all over. Everyone wanna take Silco place, Cambarans are conspiring non-stop against each other, and of course innocent people of Zon get caught in between them. That is really bad. Silco made sure this won't happen. Even it kept Shimmer in check. Now it's out of control. Everything is out of control. The Cambarans pretty much just doing whatever they want without any regard for any other citizen of Zon. And that is huge, because it just, again, goes to show you how great Silco was. Even though he was technically bad, he was still good because he imposed order for the betterment of the Zon people, or the Zonites, however you want to say it. So that was really great to see. Kind of wonder to see how this will go on, but yeah, maybe later on. Oh, I have a side note here. Yeah, side note here. Yeah, there was the cute kid. I really liked her, like with the hat. Kind of reminded me of Timo because of the hat with the goggles. Wonder what to see with her later on. Really interesting, like, character. I love it when they always sneak some cool new characters that you get glimpses of them, and you'll know they will have a bigger role later on. So kind of interested to see what will happen with her. But that is great. I like her. She's really cute. Also really funny. The way she bit off that guy's hand, I'm all in for it. So, then we actually meet a new Cambaran, is that gremlin-looking dude, which is hilarious. I love the voice actor. I should check who actually voice acted him. I think the voice acting on him was top tier. I think all voice acting in Arcane is top tier, but I really enjoyed this one in particular. He actually made him like a really great character. So lively. I love the fact that he's just like this ugly rat that pretty much not, you know, he's not playing fair. And, you know, it shows. He looks like a rat. He's like gremlin looking dude. And I love the design of him. Like, I really like all the robotic limbs. The fact that he constantly spins around his head, like through his entire body, like 360 like this. This is really cool. Loved him. Loved this design. Very great character. And, you know, just a guy you love to hate. It's good to have those in a series from time to time. After that, we get to Victor, Birthing Pod, and Jace situation. So Jace fell asleep on the table trying to help Victor and find ways to wake him up. And we see Victor dream, where he sees his, you know, I don't know, you can call her lover, you can call her assistant. I'm not pretty sure still what she meant to him, but she clearly meant a lot to him. And Victor is waking up from the birthing pod. And when he emerges, his not semi-hex core human, or hybrid, however you want to say that, his actually almost 90% hex core infused. I guess you can say it like that. Only his face remained the same. So that is very interesting. The hex core kind of infused with Victor, and now he's not only more powerful, he sees way more than an average human, or what a human could even see to begin with. And that is very great. Now he wakes up Jace, and they talk about the whole situation and what happened. And Victor end up leaving because he feels Jace and, you know, his vision completely departed ways, and there's nothing really that sticks them together anymore. They don't have a united cause, and the roads are now diverging. They're going their separate ways. And I'm all in for it. I'm seeing each and every one of them growing as a person, and even though they grew up in separate paths, it doesn't mean that they won't reach each other in the end. So Jace is going this way, Victor is going that way, which we still don't know what he's really going to do. We just kind of see him just taking his cane and walking away, but we'll return to that later on. So after that, we get to Echo 3 and Heimerdinger, you know, adventures, which is Heimerdinger, if you don't remember from the past season, he went underground after the people decided to vote him out of the council, so now he's underground with Echo. Echo is his new pupil, which is, you know, really great. I love the relationship, the cynical Echo and serious Echo, and the ambitious and kind of cynical Heimerdinger. Well, not really cynical, just overly happy Heimerdinger. It's really nice to see how this relationship, it gets evened out, because Heimerdinger is like this and Echo is like that. And this is super funny in terms of, like, you know, happiness, I guess you can say it. And that's very great. I like to see the relationship, just two scientists together going on some adventures, right? Or, I guess, trying to save Zahn from completely crumbling down, because Echo is the boy's savior. Now, Echo 3 is unfortunately dying because it is affected by a mysterious affliction that we still don't know what the origin of it and where it came from. So they're trying to understand what's going on. They're going through the labs, and eventually they reach Jace in a very funny, I have to say, like, transition. Heimerdinger just sneaking into his own lab, trying to act like a spy. That was, like, super hilarious. And Echo just, you know, like going after him. It is what it is. And they ended up reaching the lab, which Jace was sleeping in. So Jace actually was with them. And that's the first time, I believe, Echo and Jace officially meet. So that was very great to see. They don't seem particularly like friends or anything right from the first touch, but it's okay. It's okay. They'll grow into each other, I'm sure of it. They'll make great friends. And yeah, pretty much we just get to see them talk about all that cool stuff and the machine that eventually was, I believe, some of it was above ground, some of it was underground. Yeah, we get to touch that, I believe, later on. But after that, we get to Jinx and Vi clash. Now, we left off in the last episode where Jinx and Vi, and where Vi and Caitlyn, with the officer crew, went down to Zahn to try to locate Jinx. They've successfully made it so. And Jinx realized that Vi is one of the crew, members of Caitlyn's crew, and she had a shot on her, but she didn't take it. She didn't take it because she still feels for Vi. She is a sister after all. And that was really, again, just really great character development. I love to see it. It was so good. And yeah, just so glad she didn't take the shot, because I love Vi. She is a really favorite character of mine. So yeah, we get to see that. We get to see the whole ordeal, how they clashed. And of course, it reaches, well, not how they clashed, just how she escaped. But after that, we see Jinx escaping with an unknown, you know, I guess now we know it's weapon, but we get to see her with an unknown object. And she eventually gets caught by the Cambaron. The Gremlin, we're back to him, because she's wanted, and the Cambaron actually want to sell her off to Piltover for peace, for a quick peace deal. So he ended up catching her. And lo and behold, Jinx has been saved by none other than Savika. Savika, which right now lacks an arm after she lost it in a fight with Vi, if I'm not mistaken. So Savika was not without an arm. She's pretty weak. She's coming to save Jinx. And then we get to see that the object that Jinx was hiding is actually a new arm for Savika, which is, by the way, the sickest weapon that I've seen ever. Like, holy, this was crazy good. This was so damn good. I mean, the weapon basically functions of, I guess you can call it a roulette, and it's just like a slot machine. You just like pump it, and then you get something, and the something you get is like random weapon or random attack. That really reminded me of, if you ever watch Hunter x Hunter or Hunter x Hunter, the anime, you've seen Kite. It actually reminded me his Nen power, which is, you know, get a random number, get a random weapon. It really reminded me a lot of that. I loved it so much. It was so cool. And again, you can really see how the new budget is coming into effect, because the detail was astounding. It was crazy good. Every effect was just mind-blowing. I had to actually replay that fight a few times to actually catch a glimpse of everything, because I wanted to take it all in. It was just that overwhelming in terms of effects, but in a good way. Not overwhelming in a bad way, just in a good way. There was so much to see. And that was good. That was really, really good. This whole fight was sick. And of course, whenever the Gremlin dude got beat up to death, you know, I was kind of happy. We've seen very little of him. Didn't expect him to actually go this soon. But yeah, you know, it is what it is. Maybe he's still alive, you know. Who knows, right? But he got beat up really good. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And wow, that was amazing. So after that, we got to the ending. We have two ending shots, one of Dick Victor and after that of Singed. So we start with Victor. Victor, getting into the underbelly of Zon and reaching the people that were devastated by Shimmer the most. So again, the man that we saw from the past season that actually sold Vi to Silco, we actually get to see him. We actually get to see him again, and unfortunately he's so devastated, not only emotionally but physically. He just looked disformed. He looks like a monster. Victor walks between them and they follow him, trying to, I believe, rob him and, you know, I don't know, like sell his possessions or something. They try to stab him and Victor turns around and he touched one of them. And when he touched him, this man transformed into, I guess you can call it, a different being. Not really a human, but sort of like an hex-core hybrid human, just like Victor. And that was amazing, because a thing happened, a thing that reminded me a game that I really like, which is Dark Souls. Now, if you can make the connection, I'll try to tell it from my perspective. Victor, at that moment, became a savior of the broken. And that is, to me, the whole thing behind Dark Souls, because as Dark Souls, you play as Tarnished, or someone that basically has no important significance to the story until it's built up. Tarnished is basically a group of people that constantly rise and fall and die and repeat a cycle, and Victor kind of reminded me of the champion of those people, just like you are playing in Dark Souls. So I really hope it makes sense for you guys, but that's at least how it felt to me. And I loved it so much. Just Savior of the Broken. That is such a great title for Victor. He can save people from such misfortune. I mean, look at them. I mean, they look like monsters. They were deformed beyond recognition. Shimmer ended them, and he gave them a new purpose, meaning something that I didn't think Victor could do, to be honest. I'm not really familiar with Victor lore. To me, he kind of was this, you know, mad scientist, but now we get to see him as a savior of the broken. That is all I'm living for. Right now, Victor, I think, is like, to be honest, he either might be top 1 character for me. I'm not gonna lie. Listen, I love Singe to death. I'm still trying to figure out who is my favorite character is, but it's so difficult because the character is so good. Victor is top 3. Not really sure where to put a pin on it, but he's top 3 for sure, with Singe. So yeah, I'm not really sure where to pin him there, but definitely top 3 character. And wow, this just made him, oh my god, it was so good. I rewatched this scene probably like 10 times. It was so good. And maybe you guys watched it and wasn't really affected by it, like just like I am, but personally it hit me. You know, there's so many people that are affected by misfortune. Some are weak-willed and they've fallen into Shimmer, which, you know what it represents in real life. I don't want to say it in this video. I don't want to get like banned or something weird, but yeah, they were affected by Shimmer, and Victor saved them from that in a mere touch. That is crazy. They all drop their weapons and they look up to him. So I really can't wait to see where this is gonna go on. Even though I kind of know that he's gonna make robot people in the future, but, you know, I want to see how this is related, right? So this was really amazing. And of course, after that, we saw a really quick glimpse of Singed, which is him and the Hydra creature he fought in the last episode, just completely lying dead. And he's using his heart, I mean not his heart, like the Hydra wolf heart, for something. We just kind of see it pumping, and that's pretty much it. We don't have any clear indication of what's going to happen. So yeah, that's pretty much how the second episode ends. And now we get to the final episode of the first act, episode number 3, which started off by Vi and Caitlyn going deeper underground in their search of Jinx, encountering a Canberran lackey that was caught and trapped there by Jinx, and they actually free him, and Caitlyn questioned him very intrusively. She has been very aggressive and didn't even hesitate to throw him in a cell immediately after getting all relevant information to her case. So we kind of get to see, as Vi from the side, that Caitlyn is starting to sleep up. She's starting to lose her cool, to lose her patience. She's gonna make some difficult choices later on, which we're gonna see. But this was pretty much an introduction to Caitlyn completely just like losing it. So that was very interesting to see. Now, after that, we continued to Madame Medarda and the Merchant Guild, I believe headmaster, or just a really important figure in the Merchant Guild. And they spoke to each other, she tried to plan something, and apparently the guild merchant was actually corrupted by the Black Rose. So this was the first appearance of the Black Rose that we've seen. In case you don't know what a Black Rose is, it's basically a you know, a guild, I guess you can call it, of witches from Noxus. Well, they based in Noxus, and they are being led by a character from League of Legends called LeBlanc, which is a very, very interesting character. Nobody knows how she really looks like. Even in League of Legends, it's heavily implied that the way that she looks is not how she really looks. She is just a witch that conspires in the shadows. No one really hears her. No one really knows how she looks, how she truly looks. And she causes a lot of bad stuff to happen because she wants to gain control. Control of what? Control of Noxus, pretty much. And she's actually in an internal fight with a character called Swain, but still, this is stuff that you kind of read in the lore. It's not stuff that's in Arcane. So I'm not gonna, you know, go too much over it. I mean, if you want to read it, like, go make sure you read it, but it's just so cool that we've finally seen an appearance of the Covenant of Witches, the Black Rose, because it's so interesting to see. They just conspire in the shadows, betrayals all over the place, and even though you think they can't find you, they will find you, because they have resources literally everywhere. As she said, she told Madame Darda, you think Piltover was beyond our reach? Like, that is foolish. They are literally, quite literally, everywhere. They are everywhere. They are everyone. I made a Legends of Runeterra reference. If you guys are old-time viewers, you know that. But yeah, pretty cool. Really enjoyed seeing it. Cannot wait to actually see more of the Black Rose, even though it's kind of contradicts, because the Black Rose usually do not want to be seen. They operate from the shadows, but yeah, really good. I was literally mouth open wide. It just caught me completely off guard. The way you saw the Black Rose popping from her hand, I was like, no way! That was so sick. That was so sick. I just loved everything about it. Even Mel's mother caught by surprise, which is rare because usually she's so prepared for anything pretty much. But she actually got out from this assassination attempt by the skin of her teeth. She got really, really lucky there, and she actually survived. So now she knows that the Black Rose is onto her, and they are coming for her. Now, why? We don't really know. Even though the Black Rose took her son, she's still being chased after. So clearly, she did something that the Black Rose didn't like, but we still really don't know why. So yeah. We had that pretty cool, and after that we cut back to Vi and Caitlyn having a heart-warming moment where they talk to each other and eventually share a kiss, which is what every fan of Arcane has been waiting for since season 1. Finally we reached that moment. It was glorious, it was emotional, I enjoyed it dearly. Not in a weird way, just like, you know, in a good normal way you would enjoy. That's it. Nothing weird about that. After that, we are cutting back to Madame Darda, clearly seeing that she's gathering in very much of a panic all Piltover leaders trying to declare war on Zun because she has her interest there, which we still don't really understand why the motive is, but she's gathering all the leaders using the assistance of the guy that fluffs his legs, I forgot his name, which is still a very powerful figure. She gathers up all the leaders, and we get to see them later on. After that, we get to see Mel talks to the agent, the Vestaya agent. I don't think we heard her name. And she gets some really cool information and relevant information. I said cool. I said relevant information about her mother and what she's conspiring. Still not really understanding what is going on. Mel still thinks that her mother is against her, but her mother actually keeps Mel against her because she wants to protect her. Her mother is such a great character because even though she's acting in such nasty behavior, it's just to save her family. Her family means everything to her, and it shows because she wants to keep Mel as an enemy so she won't be targeted by, you know, different groups of people. I guess especially the Black Rose, right? So it's so interesting to see that Mel's mother is actually loving her in her own way, which is very tough love, but she loves her dearly. She really don't want to see her get hurt. That's why she keeps her distance. and distancing herself from her, which is incredible. And of course we got to get a glimpse of what I believe was Jarvan Crown. My god, this was juicy. You know I'm a Demacia enjoyer, and seeing a Demacia reference, man, it was so good. It was so good. Please, Arcane Demacia coming soon. I know the entire Demacia lore, guys. So yeah, Demacia, please. And we saw kind of Jarvan Crown being like sort of put in some sort of a rehearsal ceremony. That was really great. Wonder to see how this one will go on later on. Maybe not in this season, but kind of a cameo. Was really great to see still. Any Jarvan reference, I'm all in for it. Now, after that, we reached to Jace and Echo. I believe I said before that Jace and Echo went underground. They actually, in the third episode, went underground because the mesh of the core is actually up, but the failsafe is underground. So if it explodes, nothing will happen except, you know, screwing up in the entirety of the Zon cities because their air will be all messed up. But that's okay. You can throw that to the side. Nobody cares about Zon people, right? Even though Jace think it's far distance enough to keep them safe as well. But yeah, we're going underground, we're going to the Hex core, or you know what the core basically is, and we actually get to see a really good, I guess how you can say it, like basically just really good exploration, I guess you can say, of what really happens and trying to understand what runes and wild runes are, what causing this whole mess of this corruption, this affliction. And they get to see that there is some interference. Now, we don't really know what causes it. Their guess is the fact that they use too much of the core, which can totally make sense because now it has some effect. Whenever you use it, you get something bad in return. So this is really great because now we see that you cannot really afford to abuse the core. You have to use Hextech wisely because it has downsides. You cannot just completely like, oh, we have a miracle thing that would just do everything for us. Like, no, it has an implication. You cannot use it without any consideration of what happens after. That is a really great core idea in general that I really love to see implemented in more series. You know, stuff having, you know, downsides and bad implication. Like you literally cannot take like a magical potion and it having no effect. I mean, like, no bad effect, like, no downsides whatsoever. Everything must come at the cost. I think that is a genius move from the writers, and I really loved they added it into Arcane. This is great. I cannot wait to see how it actually develops, but for now, we kind of stay with this strange affliction. And now we get to see Echo, Heimerdinger, and Jace rune trip. At least that's what I call it. They touch the core and something happens. It just livens up and they go into some sort of a trip. Now we get to see this happening in parallel to Jinx, Vi, Caitlyn, and Savika fighting each other. So that is important because one actually affects the other. So in general, the fight itself was a spectacle to behold. You can clearly tell they upped the budget. It absolutely looks astonishing. It looks amazing in every single shape and form. I loved every single bit of it. But what happened during the fight is that actually their Hextech weapon that was made by Jace for Vi and Caitlyn were rendered useless for a few minutes, which I guess in real time was actually a few seconds. But still, they were rendered useless, they completely stopped functioning, and it is a clear indication that the hex core is connected to the other. So that means, I mean, the weapons that were made from Hextech, from the hex core, were turned off because something happened to the hex core. We're still not really sure what happened. The trip they were on didn't really give me anything to latch onto as far as I understand it and I see it. So I really didn't understand anything. So maybe we'll see more later on, well, for sure, but something has happened. It clearly had an effect on all things made Hextech. So that is very interesting to see. And the fight, again, just like I was saying, was really, really great. Reached a culmination point where eventually Caitlyn had a clear shot over Jinx, but she was protected by Vi. And when Vi moved a bit, Caitlyn had a clear shot, and we got to see that kid in action, actually leaping on Jinx, covering her with her tiny body, begging not to kill Jinx, basically. She didn't really, like, physically beg because she doesn't talk, but yeah, just protecting Jinx with her own body, even though Jinx really wanted to die, she just told the kid to scram. The kid won't move. It was so heartwarming to see that someone still loved Jinx deep inside. I mean, Vi loved Jinx, but man, that kid love, come on. It was so greater for Jinx. She clearly see her as some sort of a savior because Jinx did save her, and that is amazing. Maybe she see her as a bigger sister. That is very good. Now Caitlyn almost didn't hesitate to take the shot. Well, to be fair, she didn't really hesitate, so she was stopped by Vi, because Vi was afraid that if she missed, she will hurt the kid. And what happened is that Jinx pulled a fast one and actually just made a hole in the wall that blew air and completely knocked off Vi and Caitlyn into just a completely different zone. And we get to see Caitlyn being mad at Vi for stopping her, and that's pretty much where we ended on this regard. So yeah, pretty cool fight, and this whole ordeal was amazing. And immediately after that, we get to see Mel being kidnapped by the Black Rose. It happened when she talked to her assistant, I guess. She asked for information, and her assistant actually turned to a Black Rose agent. I guess she was corrupted, or like mind control, or just completely possessed as far as I've seen, because it seems like she kind of died in the process. And Mel being kidnapped by the Black Rose. I assume she's not dead, because I think the Black Rose will actually use her as a card to, you know, extort Madame Medarda, you know, Mel's mother. And that is interesting. I cannot wait to see where this leads as well. Again, we get so many leads, we're not really getting any, because this is the early episode, so you get so much stuff happening, but not, you don't really get to see like the end of it. We're gonna continue upon it like later, in later episodes. So Mel got kidnapped by the Black Rose. Can't wait to see where this goes. And of course, after that, we're going to Madame Medarda after she told the guy to gather all the elites, everyone with influence, just gathering them all in one place. Pretty much declaring an official war of Zan. They wanted to appoint a general, and the guy actually got swindled by Madame Medarda. He thought he would be appointed general, but she actually appointed Caitlyn. Now, the reason she appointed Caitlyn are kind of unknown. My guess is that she can clearly tell, because Madame Medarda can, you know, see people clearly as who they are and what is their state right now, and she knows how to use it to her advantage, because she's an incredibly smart strategist, or, you know, how a strategist, damn, it's so difficult to say, strategy, you know, this word, you know what I'm talking about. Basically, like Swain, she's super smart. And yeah, she want to use Caitlyn to her advantage. I think, personally, I think she thinks that Caitlyn will be easier to control and manipulated now that her mother is dead, and she has a vengeance, you know. She has a vengeance cause. She really want to inflict all the pain in the world on Jinx and maybe Zan in the process, so maybe that's why she appointed her as general. You can see that Caitlyn is a bit reluctant at first, but after that, after a few like hyping up and a few of these, you know, that was really cool. Caitlyn actually really gets into it and accepts the role as a leader. So that is really interesting to see. We're gonna see that later on. And this is pretty much the end of the episode, so we have one last Singed moment before the episode ends, and now we finally get to see why Singed did all he did in the previous episodes, like 2 episodes. He was building Warwick, which we already know is Vendor, which is very sad, by the way. But yeah, I mean, Vendor is technically still alive. He was made into this grotesque being, which is Warwick, which I loved very much in League of Legends. He's a League of Legends character. Just like this werewolf beast with poison pumping in his veins. Very cool character. Cannot wait to see how he terrorized the lanes again. I actually, after this episode, replayed the Warwick rework trailer. Please watch it. If you haven't watched it, like, please do. It's so sick. It has like millions of views. It is super popular. It was so well made, so go watch this trailer. It is really good. And yeah, cannot wait to see how Warwick will affect the series. And of course, I don't think they're gonna recognize each other. I don't think Warwick has really too much of a memory of who he used to be. I know he still has it, because he still has, he's not really a bad guy, he's sort of a vigilante, he's just hunting the bad guys. So he's still some you know, has some moral code, he has some sentience, he still remember, if he not remember who he is, he remembered what he stood for. That is super important and will play a bigger role later on when we actually get to see Warwick. So yeah, that was pretty much for all the episode. Again, I'm sorry if I, you know, kind of mumbled a lot, guys. I really tried my best to speak like slowly but not too slow, because I really didn't want, you know, this video to last for like 2 hours. And again, I've never really done anything like this before, so that's why I kept notes, kept looking at my notes, trying to remember everything. But yeah, hopefully you guys have enjoyed that. If you have some point of improvements you would like me to make in future videos like this, if I ever make future videos like this, it's all depend on you guys, if you guys enjoyed it. So do comment, let me know what you guys think. If you like the Arcane series, make sure to comment below, because I will answer every single comment. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more uploads. But that's all for now. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.